How's it hanging, everybody? My name is Steve, this is Horns Held High, and today I am reviewing Controlled Chaos from heavy metal guitarist Nita Strauss. Now, this album was released on November 16th, 2018 on Sumerian Records. Formerly, Nita Strauss was a guitarist for the all-female Iron Maiden tribute band, the Iron Maidens. In more recent years, Nita Strauss was the touring guitarist for Alice Cooper. And throughout the course of 2018, Nita Strauss has made appearances at events for World Wrestling Entertainment. She's done some live performances there, promoting her material. Right now, Nita Strauss is on tour with Angel Vivaldi on their co-headlining the Guitar Collective Tour, and that will be running through the end of this year in the United States. So this is the solo debut for guitarist Nita Strauss. Now, overall, I thought this album was good. It's all instrumental, there's no vocals, and I totally get it. Some people are into that, some people aren't, but I thought it was good. I will admit there was a part of me that was kind of hoping she would have featured singers, all this kind of featured stuff like you might expect from a Slash solo album or something like that, but all in all, I thought it was a good album. It was a lot of good instrumental work. It really put Nita Strauss's abilities on display, and it showed what kind of guitarist she can be on her own, not necessarily as the backing guitarist for someone else like the Iron Maidens or Alice Cooper. So even though this album is entirely instrumentals, I will admit I wasn't a fan of songs that felt like just pure solos. Two songs in particular where I noticed this were the song Allegria and The Stillness at the End. I feel like you need a riff or two to break up the action partway through. It felt like there was a riff at the beginning, same riff at the end, and in the middle it was just solo for like 3 or 4 minutes. And that kind of a song doesn't really do anything for me. That might just be a personal gripe of mine, but I need a riff or two to break up the soloing, as good as it may be. As far as the production on this album is concerned, it came off a little too well produced for me, especially for her solo debut. I was kind of expecting a more edgy sound to the drums and the backing guitars, and even Nita Strauss herself. But the whole thing just sounded a little too well produced for a solo debut record. And with that in mind about the production, something about the drums bothered me throughout this whole album. I don't know what it was. There were times where I felt like the drumming didn't sound like a person. It almost sounded like a drum machine. Now, I know that isn't the case. I know it was an actual person. But it almost felt like the sound of the drums almost sounded drum machine-like to me. And it also felt like certain tracks I could hear the drums more. On other tracks I could hear the drums less. And they were drowned out by the guitars and whatever else was happening. So I kind of wish there was a more even sound of production throughout the album as far as guitar to drum and backing guitar balance, even though I know this is Nita Strauss's album and she's a lead guitarist. So since there's no lyrics on this album, I think this album just serves as a good appreciation for all things metal from an instrumental perspective, because you get some good guitar, some alright drums, decent riffs throughout. I felt that the songs blended pretty well on this album. There was a nice pinch of ballads, like songs such as Here With You and Hope Grows, mixed with more upbeat and more shreddy songs, more hard-hitting stuff. And the ballads were placed throughout the album pretty appropriately, in my opinion. It wasn't like all of the ballads were together or there wasn't enough. I felt there was a fair mix of everything. Considering the fact that this is Nita Strauss's first solo album, there's really nothing else to compare it to unless you compare it to her work with the Iron Maidens or her live work with Alice Cooper. Now, I first discovered Nita Strauss through her work with Alice Cooper, seeing live videos of Alice Cooper from the past couple years and seeing this female guitarist at the front just shredding it up, just killing it. And, of course, my first thought is, who's that? Who's doing all those good guitar solos over there? And then I come to find it's Nita Strauss. And then over the years, she just seemed to gain popularity and gain momentum. I truly think she is the guitar hero we need in 2018. I feel like we haven't had a genuine guitar hero for a couple years at least. So I feel like Nita Strauss is the next true guitar hero that the world kind of needs right now to inspire young people, to inspire young women to be guitarists, to play heavy metal, to play rock. For my money, the best song on Controlled Chaos is the song titled The Quest. I felt it had the most interesting backing riff of the bunch, and also there were three, count 'em, three solos in this song from different instruments. You had a guitar solo, you had a synthesizer solo, and there was a drum solo in there too. Now granted, like I mentioned before, the production of the drums is meh, but the fact that there were three different kinds of solos on this song really stuck out to me, and overall I felt this song was quick but effective. It got across what it needed to get across. It was the most varying song of the bunch, from the backing riff to all the different kinds of solos that were in it. As far as the least enjoyable song on Controlled Chaos, I'm gonna have to go with her cover of The Show Must Go On. I thought it was honestly a terrible note to end the album on. I would have much preferred a full album of original material from Nita Strauss. Maybe a different cover could have been okay, but just listening to this cover, it didn't fit the rest of the album in my opinion, and it just didn't sound great. So with all of that said about Nita Strauss and her solo debut Controlled Chaos, I'm going to give this album 7 out of 10 horns. It's not bad, especially for a debut solo album. I'm definitely a fan of Nita Strauss. I think she can only go up from here onto bigger and better and greater things. I would love to see an album from her where she has featured singers and featured musicians, just to kind of play around with some more sounds and to see what her maximum potential is. So again, 7 out of 10 horns for me for Controlled Chaos from Nita Strauss. What did you think of this album? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And remember to always keep your horns held high. And I'll see you in the next one.